Within a couple weeks of Helldivers 2 being released, I spent over 120 hours defending democracy. I did everything there was to do. I platinumed the game, I unlocked everything physically possible, I played the game until I was red in the face. All I thought about was democracy. I read about it, I had an app on my phone that showed me all the hundreds of thousands of people spreading democracy, doing what I wanted to be doing at that moment. When I was out with friends, I thought about the game. When I was doing work, I thought about the game. I went to sleep listening to gun reviews. I took showers while I let random people tell me strategy about killing bugs while I washed my hair. Even while playing other games with friends, all I wanted to be doing was playing Helldivers. I was completely 110,000% obsessed. Eventually, the only thing that was left for me to do, because I had pretty much done everything physically possible, was to teach other players and new players how to play the game. I actually found this really rewarding, and I have a lot of people that I met that I actually felt like I became friends with through this process. But eventually what ended up starting to happen is I ended up just kind of having more discussions about the game than I really wanted to. I started arguing with people, sometimes on like the internet, and having heated debates about the lore and what gun was best and things that didn't really matter a whole lot. Now I started slowing down on actually playing the game, but what I was doing more so with my time was just talking about the game to people, and I argued and just got upset with people who didn't know how to play the freaking game. But even when I stopped playing, I had flooded my senses with this IP so much that I was only able to consume Helldivers content. I didn't want to lose what had become a piece of my identity after all. I had become a Helldivers expert. I knew all there was to know. I knew every strategy. I'd unlocked everything. I brought everything you could bring to the table. If I left the game, what did that say about me? What was weird is I started to get anxious about like watching the game or reading about the game or just the game in general. The thought of other people starting to know more than me wasn't pleasant, and in fact, I think what I started to experience was like FOMO for some reason. I really wasn't sure I even wanted to play the game anymore, but I just still wanted to be a knowledgeable guru who just I had to stay up to date with the game. I had to know everything there was to know. It became more than an obsession. It became almost a thing that if I didn't do, I would forget who I was. It became a compulsion. See, I had ended up creating this Pavlovian response to the game, and it's something I've done hundreds of times before. I did it with World of Warcraft, I did it with Call of Duty, I did it with The Witcher 3, I did it with Minecraft, Mass Effect, The Elder Scrolls, Halo. Even to this day, if I hear music from any of these games, I feel almost spiritually called. But see, if you do things that trigger thoughts that make you want to play a game, then why don't you just stay away from those triggers? People try to think about it this way, and it kind of helps. You know, you dump social media, put your controller out of reach, and these things I do think help, and I endorse some of them, but they won't help you to live in the moment the way you think they will. My conditioned response isn't how I respond to stimulus surrounding my attraction to the game. It's I've conditioned a response to boredom. When I don't have something actively demanding my brain's attention, I think it does two things. See, my brain detects a deep identity I have, a need I have, that the boredom is a cue that this is an opportunity to fulfill something deep inside of me, and it does that through the games I love. See, I'm the type of person that gets a lot of joy from finding what other people want and being a sort of almost like director who finds out what they need and helps them achieve it. Helldivers is a game where we work as a team, and you have new players coming in all the time, and you get to work together to figure out how to get them on board and in the environment and having an awesome time. This was a gold mine for my brain. See, I could spend 19 hours making and editing a YouTube video where 12 people would tell me I suck and I maybe help 2 people. Or I could hop on Helldivers, crush bugs and spill oil and just have a great time with people who are loving the game. My brain did the cost-benefit analysis and it was spot on. See, people will say this is your brain responding to boredom and replacing it with entertainment, and I think they'll say something like you need to learn how to be bored. And that never really clicked with me. See, I think we underestimate how brilliant we are. Timothy D. Wilson, in his book Stranger strangers to ourselves, says the mind operates most efficiently by regulating a good deal of high-level thinking to the unconscious. Just as a modern jetliner is able to fly on automatic pilot with little to no input from the human conscious pilot. See, I think we are at odds with our autopilot. We know that the destination is something fulfilling, something special to us. To me, it's directing other people to their goals. It's figuring out what matters to them most. And to you, it could be something completely different. But see, I think we give this, quote, adaptive consciousness the green light as cued by our boredom to take control and fly us to what it thinks our destination is. It's gonna take control and fly you there faster than you probably want to go. A key thing about this is that you don't have to resist temptation. Problem is that you have a directive going in the wrong direction. You actually already know, in my opinion, how to plot a different path. When you're in the shower or when you're on a hike or on a walk somewhere, I bet you're like me. You daydream about the destinations, your proverbial places you want to visit, accomplishments you want to have. And you probably feel some sort of internal pain, like, man, you'd be a professor at some university right now if only you studied. And then you get stuck on autopilot the second you need to study and just end up doing something else. See, when you survive the initial burst of energy and enter the gaming cycle, you actually already have the creativity capacity to plot a fulfilling path towards your goals in life. But to use the analogy a little further, you have to be willing to control the plane, at least for a few minutes, yourself. Now this is the important part. When you take over and start flying the plane in the way that you think you should, like you start being productive, right? The boredom triggers and the autopilot almost starts screaming at you to say, hey, I will take you to the promised land, but you're flying the wrong way. Now this is actually what I do, and I know this sounds silly and it sounds stupid, but this is actually how I have stopped the cycle. I got out my phone and I created a note file and I called it Ideas. At the top I wrote what I wanted to be, the things I cared about, the virtues that I valued. And then I wanted to write down what I was doing and how it made me what I wanted to be. See, I wanted to become a physician, and how did studying physics help me get there? Because I hated physics. So what did I do when I would start studying physics? Everything in me screamed stop. I would get so bored studying physics, I would just stop studying, and then how I caught myself was I would handwrite, at that time, creative ways that physics would help me as a doctor. I think you can use your phone, but if you can handwrite these things, I think it would help. See, physics would allow me to become a radiologist or understand the physiological movement and anatomy, how it all connected. I would rethink a problem, and in fact, I would even reword problems until it became medicine. I made physics into medicine even if the problem didn't have anything to do with medicine, and even if it required some low-level gaslighting on my own part. And something eventually happened that was really strange. I started to have free time and I would pick up like a controller to play, and then I saw the destination in my head, the place I wanted to be, the dream I had, and a path there, and suddenly I wanted to do the things to get there that I hated. It was almost like my internal autopilot was saying, hey, I can take you the direction I think we should go. See, it wasn't an internal voice, it was a desire, it was an inclination, it was the thing I had grown to resent that was offering me support. The weird part is that it used to be I would study and this voice would try and pull me back to games, but now I was playing a game and this voice was beginning to plead with me to study. I started fantasizing about studying. I started to want these things that I hated. So I would take all of those notes that I would then refine and think about them, and these things that used to bring me immense anxiety at the thought of doing, I just wrestled with them until I reformed it into something I loved. I never gave up gaming. I still do it. I still love them, and I still gave myself permission to do them, and I have a whole video on why these things are important to who we are as a person. But making gaming time for gaming's sake is just so much more carefree and fun than the guilt-ridden sessions I had come to expect. Add creativity to your productivity. Don't grind for grind's sake. This be that guy mindset to grind harder and harder is a total trap just waiting to burn you out. The more I've started adopting these positive and productive activities into my own personal identity, the more I've fallen in love with them and the easier they've gotten for me to do. I think a little secret that people aren't telling you is that if you are capable of grinding 14 hours a day at video games or something you're already enjoying, then you totally have the capacity to be a complete workhorse for 100 hours a week if you really wanted to be. Now, I don't think that sounds like fun. I still like being somewhat of a degenerate because that's also a part of my self-identity. You know, the next time you're doing something you hate, bring out that notepad. I'm serious, make an ideas file in your phone right now, and the next time you're doing something that you dislike, be ready to write down things, creative ideas in your mind that pop up. The next time you're playing a video game and these negative feelings come up, take the time to write down why it's taking you where you don't want to go and how it could be taking you to do the right thing or go to the right place, and what could you be doing that would be taking you there. And then the next time you're in the shower or on a walk, reflect on that book you've probably wanted to write, or the video you've wanted to make, or the degree that you're wanting to obtain. See, you'll be starting to train your subconscious mind, your autopilot, to go take you to the destinations that you want to go, and it will start taking the load off of you instead of being an antagonistic force in your life. Instead of being at odds with your subconscious mind, you'll become a team, and whatever you feed your mind, it will feed back into you. And speaking of feeding back into your life, you want to also make sure you're getting good rest and figuring out a way to get good sleep. I just did a video on how to get great sleep. Watch it, it will appear somewhere. I know not where, it just happens that way. Come talk to me and other people in the Discord where we're all talking about ways to find our dreams. The light went out, so now everything's dark. Join me on Discord. I'm out of battery. So see y'all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.